Happy Earth, Wind, and Fire Day, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I understand it's Wednesday, hump day, but with this being the first show in the month of September, happy Earth, Wind, and Fire Day. Now, I would sing the song, but sadly, I do not get paid to sing here on this show. But what I do enjoy doing is talking Crimson Tide football with the best fans, the most passionate fans out there, that being you guys. And you are locked and loaded onto the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information, that being, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, and appreciating each of you tuning into the show on today. We got a lot to break down, talk about, and discuss, but as always, we're bringing you the show from Tuscaloosa, streaming this via YouTube. Speaking of the channel, go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, drop a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, and turn all of those notifications on so that way you have the best in news, notes, and alerts on your Crimson Tide. But not only are we streaming this through YouTube, to all my Facebook people out there, Facebook land, we're coming to you guys as well. It is always a joy to have the man, the myth, the legend, the maestro in the production studio, John Ivory, doing his thing. The show does not go without him, but also the show does not go without you. We want you guys blowing the phone lines up. Full permission here. Blow the phone lines up, have those things ringing off the hook, and also leave your thoughts and concerns in the YouTube chat line by calling 205-448-1358, the number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. Once again, that's 205-448-1358, and one more time, 205-448-1358. You guys did a phenomenal job on Monday, as I believe we had about 110 people in the chat. So continuing that type of energy, that type of passion, that type of excitement for your Crimson Tide, as Alabama will take on Missouri in 24 days. Saturday, September 26th, Alabama will travel to Columbia to take on those Missouri Tigers. I am excited. But before we jump into the first topic of conversation here, got a quick little update. One, Bryce Young, the true freshman five-star quarterback out of California, was back at practice for Alabama on Tuesday. The Crimson Tide is also at practice today, the 10th session of fall camp, as Alabama in week 3 of fall practice. But Bryce Young, who missed the scrimmage over the weekend, he was with his team on Monday during the peaceful protest march, but he was back out there in practice, as you're seeing him on screen, doing this little dump pass here to Brian Robinson Jr. Bryce Young back at practice on Tuesday, and continuing to get better at the quarterback position as he looks to get some big playing time here in the upcoming season. But we get into topic number 1 here, folks, on tonight, and this is an Alabama team that, despite what has transpired in today's world and the things that continue to go on, this is an Alabama team that is hungry, that is determined, that's going all in, going all after a national championship, college football playoff national title to end the 2020 season. It does not want to end this year without a national championship. And what's interesting is, for a lot of programs that go 11-2, that's a moment of celebration for them, right? Those programs go 11-2, they're popping the tequila. They're popping open a fresh bottle of Hennessy. They are celebrating in the streets going 11-2. There would be a coach that may get a contract extension off an 11-2 season. That's appealing. That's great. That is awesome for a lot of other programs. But at Alabama, 11-2, fans are upset. Players are upset. Coaches are upset because 11-2 for Alabama means this was a rebuilding year. No, we didn't get the job done. We let the culture down. We let the standard down. We let people down. And, more importantly, when you look at so many players in recent history that have won championships for the Tide or refuse to let the University of Alabama end the season, without a championship, and you happen to be that particular team that comes up on the 11-2 season, you're the one with egg on your face going, my goodness, man, I get the whole thing down, man. We went 11-2, man. It's our fault, man. You know, all them teams in recent years was looking up to us to keep the trend going, and we didn't get that done. So for the University of Alabama, for this program, hungry in trying to make sure it ends the 2020 season the right way for a national title. And throughout fall camp, we have seen head coach Nick Saban, Dylan Moses, inside linebacker, Devonta Smith at wide receiver, even one Joshua McMillan, who's back for his 6th year at linebacker. They've all talked about, last year, we did not finish the way we wanted to. Last year, we did not play the way we were supposed to. Last year, we did not have that Bama essence that needs to happen, at Alabama, and that's supposed to happen at Alabama. And we don't feel right, we don't feel right leaving this program without leaving it with a national championship and continuing the trend that the people before us set in motion. And, Josh McMillan, once again, he in his 6th year, he came in the 2015 class out of Memphis, Tennessee. Not only the oldest defensive player in the room, but the oldest player in the room as well. And, he spoke about what went into his decision to take the 6th year, to spend a 6th year with the Crimson Tide. Check this out. This was Joshua McMillan from Tuesday.
It wasn't much going into the decision. It was just a bad taste left in my mouth from the past season. We went 11-2, and I don't want to end my college career on a bad note like that. I don't think anyone who came to the University of Alabama would want to end their season like that. So just being here, being a leader, seeing the other guys in the past, and not living up to that standard, it didn't feel right leaving.
It did not feel right leaving. That comes from one Joshua McMillan, who's in his 6th year here with the Crimson Tide. Left a bad taste in my mouth the 2019 season, and McMillan was one of those guys that for the first time last season prior to him, before he got hurt, he was about to be a first-time starter at that weak side linebacker position next to, of course, one Dylan Moses. And he was looking forward to starting a season ago before he had the injury in a non-contact drill, the season-ending, serious knee injury. And he, along with Dylan Moses, from the outside looking in, they saw the defense last year, and both of them were kind of like, we can't leave after this. Like, we can't leave after this type of season. No championship, no ring, no title. This is not what Bama football does. This is not how Alabama football operates. We cannot leave here without a national championship. It does not feel right at all. And for McMillan, he comes from a different situation than most guys. Like, McMillan came in 2015. He was schooled in the art of winning championships because even though McMillan redshirted his initial freshman year, he played with some guys that indoctrinated him into this is how we run things in Tuscaloosa. The 2015 year, McMillan was around guys like Reuben Foster and Reggie Ragland and Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams and Jonathan Allen and Ashawn Robinson. 2015, that group right there had the mindset of, we do not leave without a championship. We do not return home to Tuscaloosa with no title. We do not return home to Tuscaloosa with no ring. And McMillan saw that. He saw the leadership of Reggie Ragland. He saw the leadership of Reuben Foster. He saw the leadership of Jonathan Allen, of Tim Williams, of Ryan Anderson, of Ashawn Robinson. And even though he did not play that year, he saw how this is how leadership is ran. This is how Alabama football is supposed to be conducted. Like, when we leave a national championship venue, or when we, as in the Alabama football program, leave a season, we leave with carrying a trophy in our hands, whether it's the elegant, crystal ball trophy from the BCS era, or whether it's the college football playoff trophy from this era. A trophy comes home to the people wearing crimson and white. So that's the point that, Mcmillan was schooled in coming in 2015. And not just that, 2 years later, he's a part of that 2017 Alabama team as well. And even though Mcmillan didn't play much that year either, he watched Daron Payne. He watched Sean Dion Hamilton. He watched Rashaan Evans. He watched Mack Wilson, who had a big year that year. Mack Wilson, 4 interceptions, including 1 return for a touchdown. He even watched Minkah Fitzpatrick in 2017. And all of those guys in that leadership role, they took it upon themselves. They took pride. They took purpose. They took enjoyment in, this is our football team. This is how we're going to run the football team. And I'll be doggone if we end this season with no championship, with no ring, with no hardware, with no prestige by our name here. So Mcmillan saw the 2015 team, he saw the 2017 team operate in a way to where, it's national championship or we did not do our job. It's national championship or we did not fulfill the purpose that we set our sights on when we came into a respective recruiting class. Either we win a national championship or we look at a fan base, we look at a coaching staff, we look at our teammates around us, we look at so many people that are going to be bothered by the fact that, why could this team not bring home, a national championship? So, for Joshua Mcmillan, he talked about seeing how the team played last year, there were some good moments, there were some positive moments, there were some decent moments, but at the end of the day, other teams go 11-2. Like I said, the tequila's coming out. They're hitting the Cupid Shuffle. They're hitting the Dougie. They're hitting all the dances going on right now, and they're popping open that bottle of Hennessy, and they are just having a party because, hey, we went 11-2. That's a great year for us. It's a happy day for us. But at Alabama, this is a program that is built on something more. Like the slogan of the SEC, it just means more. The slogan at Alabama is, we're about championships. And it goes back to Nick Saban when he first took the job in January of 2007. One of the first things he said to the crowd, of course, you guys remember as well as I myself, one of the first things Saban said to the crowd of fans was, we're going to give you a team. We're going to present to you a product. We're going to provide to you a product that you, as an Alabama fan, will be proud of, can be proud of. We're going to have for you a product that you can boast about, that you can brag about, that you can be excited about, that you can hold your head high. I am an Alabama football fan. We're going to give you a product that you can step with pride, the same way Coach Saban was stepping with pride in those pinning offers during the march on Monday. But Saban was like, we're going to give you a program to where you can step with pride. You can be proud to be an Alabama fan. And part of that pride that he has instilled into the program was being able to consistently win national championships, being able to consistently have these players, come back to Tuscaloosa holding that trophy, holding that hardware, holding that title, and for you as fans, giving you that pride to where you go on the radio and you want to talk smack to other fans, or you go on the radio and you want to talk smack to different radio hosts, or you want to, go into the different barber shops and nail salons and hair salons and grocery stores and church or whatever the hangout spot may be, and you want to have a proud conversation about, this is why I love, this is why I enjoy, this is why I am passionate when I talk about Alabama football. Nick Saban wanted to bring that level to Tuscaloosa, and in doing so, having this team, consistently win national championships. And after last season going through an 11-2 season, Joshua Mcmillan entering his 6th year, he's like, we didn't finish the right way. We didn't play the right way. This left a bad taste in my mouth. I was on 2 teams that the leadership on those two teams, it was national championship or somebody getting pushed to the wall, somebody getting knocked on the ground. Either it's a national championship or we looking at everybody saying who's the weakest link and we checking you right there. Like, those were the type of teams that Joshua McMillan was a part of. And now that he is back as one of the leaders, along with Dylan Moses and other players, this 2020 group, hungry, determined, ready to make sure this season ends with a national championship for the University of Alabama football program. But we take our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. When we get back, we entertain your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your questions, your concerns. It's the first show in the month of September, and we're entertaining you right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We're back into the action, folks, from the break on a Monday, on a Wednesday, my bad. Continuing your work week off correctly. Wednesday, Stephen, get it right now. On a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, number one forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, appreciating everybody for tuning in on today. Before we get to the phone lines to entertain your calls, your thoughts, your chats, and your concerns, got some super chats here to shout out here. First off, Jay Lee, dropping in that $20 there via the super chats. Willie351 coming in with $7.77. Waylon coming in with $1.99. And Kevin Compton with $4.99. So we appreciate the love there via the super chats from you guys as the passionate Alabama football fans. But 205-448-1358, and I'm going to call in to let your voice be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And our first caller of the evening just so happens to be Senator Hines. Senator, what's going on Wednesday, man?
Man, nothing much, man. I'm just happy to be back on this side of the country, man. Back in Roll Tide Town, man, down here on the southeast in the good old southern air, man. This fall weather, I felt a little bit of fall weather this morning when I woke up, Stephen A., man.
I mean, there are very few songs out there that roll with the time and the seasons. And while I mentioned not going to sing the song September by Earth, Wind, and Fire, but when you hear that song, it's like, you know what? Fall is definitely around the corner.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, but I just called in to talk about what it's going to take for us to get back to the national championship and actually win it. And my first thought goes directly to our defensive side, toughening up the interior, meaning the defensive tackle spot, and the inside linebacker. I think we talked about it previously. I believe last year's inexperience and having to throw guys out there early is going to be a major plus for us this year, especially with nobody having a spring. The guys that had to get thrown in early last year that are playing the inside, they are familiar with the system. You have Pete Golden with his second year of play calling, so he has a better sense of how to be a game manager on the defensive side. And I believe that'll open him up with the more experience on the defensive side. I believe that'll open him up more to be more aggressive like we're used to being. I'm not used to us, blitzing only on like 37 or 38. I forget the percentage they said we blitzed on our defensive settings last year, but this was the lowest percentage we blitzed as far as snaps in I think 7 or 8 years since Saban has been there. So we get back to being an aggressive defense and toughening up that interior. Our young secondary going to feast out there when these guys getting pressed on these quarterbacks that haven't had a spring to build that chemistry with their receivers and their offense. What you think about that, Steve?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at this year's team, you have a lot of depth back. You have a lot of experience back, especially with Dylan Moses, Christian Barmore, LeBron Ray, DJ Dale, guys of that nature. So you've got the experience. You've got a lot of young talent. You've got a ton of depth. And you bring up Pete Golding, absolutely. This is year 2 for him. He saw what happened last year. Even with the injuries, he saw where, okay, we had some discipline problems. We had some tackling issues. We had some situations where guys didn't trust the technique. We didn't get the right personnel out there some of the time. So he owned up to a lot of the mistakes that he made, absolutely. But right now, with the right personalities player-wise in the room, another year for Pete Golding, all of this depth back. And the big thing, having a Freddie Roach in here as well to coach the defensive line, and he's already brought in this no-nonsense mentality. My main thing has been, as long as David Ballou, Dr. Matt Ray continue to do what they do, keep everybody as healthy as possible, it is going to be dangerously hard to topple his team because the hunger is there, the right attitude is there, the right energy is there, the want to win a national championship is there. You just have to make sure everybody on that field stays healthy.
Yeah, man, that nasty, gritty mentality, we got to get it back. But that's all I got today, Steven. I'm ready for Friday, man, because that means we're only 2 more weeks away from kickoff, man, and I'm amped up, man. I don't know, but I can see it in your face. I'm looking at you on the screen, and I'm talking to you on the phone, but I can see it, man. It's getting here, man. I can see it.
I'm trying to keep my leg from stop. I'm trying to keep my leg from not shaking, man.
Me too, brother. But take care, man. And Roll Tide, everybody in the chat, Waylon, my boy Nick Saban Jr., everybody, Will, all y'all, man. Let's keep it popping today, man. Roll Tide.
Appreciate the love there coming from Senator Hines here, opening up the show. We take our next caller of the day. You're live on In My Own Words on a Wednesday. What's going on? You're live on In My Own Words, caller. What's going on? We got another caller in the queue. You're live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
What's up, Steven? This is Sean from Huntsville.
Doing good, man. What's going on with you?
Nothing much, man. Wanted to call and chit-chat with you right quick and give you a little story. I just went through one of my family members who is up north. They live in Cleveland, and they're huge Ohio State fans. Talk with him about, first of all, last caller was great, man. He was awesome. Loved his call. But I would tell him, it's very, if you can remember when Jeremy Pruitt was our defensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And we were blitz happy. I would tell him that it's kind of easy to blitz, man, when you got Jonathan Allen, Deshaun Hand, Deron Payne, Dalvin Tomlinson, Reggie Ragland, Reuben Foster. When you got those guys in the front seven, man, it's a little easier to blitz than when you got, 4, 5 freshmen, whatever the case may be total. It's hard to blitz when you got them young guys up there, man. It's hard to put your secondary in that situation, as me and you talked about before. When you can't get to the quarterback, you kind of hurting yourself with that blitzing, So I honestly think that had a lot to do with it. But, yeah, man, my family called from up north and was arguing about conference champs, this, that, and the third. This is what I told them, because they listen to the show, too. I got them put on. A lot of those guys from up north listen to the show. I would tell them this really quickly. The reason why I'm not for those conference champs, I know every conference has their champ and everybody wants to see their conference champ in the tournament. But, man, this is what I tell you. If you look no farther than last year, no disrespect to no other university, but remember this. Just because your team won a conference champ does not mean it's better than this conference's second-place team. You know what I mean? You may be the conference champ of said conference, but that don't mean you could beat this. That does not mean you're better, I'll just say it, than the SEC's second-place team. So, to me, the conference champ is just a way for people who wouldn't have made the tournament to get into the tournament. And I wanted to get your opinion really quickly, if I could.
Now, that right there is a good point, because I want to go back to, for a minute here, there was one year that Penn State won the conference of the Big Ten, but Ohio State got into the playoff. And And then, of course, you had the year 2017 where, Alabama had the injuries at linebacker, and I think Auburn won the SEC that year. Either Auburn or Georgia won it that year, but Alabama made the playoff just due to how healthy the Tide was at that time, especially with the time off. So that's a good point there. Now, a conference champion means something, but it's like it only means something when you have the other teams that are just completely beneath that team. If there is somebody, if there is somebody that's head and shoulders better than that conference champion, then the college football playoff committee is going to look at that other team, especially when you look at, does that team have more pull? Does that team have more prestige? How bad was their loss? Was their loss bad, or was it a really competitive loss? How much money can that particular team bring the college football playoff scenario? So I agree with you on that one.
I can take it this real quick, Stephen, before I go. The conference the commissioners and the committee does not want another Oregon and Florida State in the championship, because you remember that game was the championship game. That was a snooze fest, man. Yes, yeah, man. The seats weren't even filled. They didn't even sell all the tickets, man. So, I don't know, man. This year is kind of crazy. I just got some news. I won't put it out there, but everybody go look at my boy Uncle Lou. He just put some news out about Georgia and their quarterback. I don't know what's going on this year, man. It's just crazy about people, sitting out, and it's ridiculous, man. But thank you for taking my call, brother. I appreciate you guys. What's up to everybody in the chat, and we will continue to support.
Absolutely appreciating Sean from Huntsville always dropping in a good call there. We continue with the call lines. You are live on In My Own Words. What's going on?
Rodney Pelt from Dinwiddie, Virginia, calling in. How you doing, Stephen A?
Doing good, man. Can't complain here.
Hey, I just had a few things. Looking at the Tide this year, I think we'll be strong on offense. I think the offense looks outstanding. But I'm just a little worried about that defensive coordinator, Pete Golden. I think he got a chance to actually coach that national championship game when we played against Clemson, and it was a total disaster. And from that point on, I mean, I didn't see him as I think with Charlie Strong and Freddie Roach being there, they're gonna really help him. But what do you think about that? With Freddie Roach and Charlie Strong being there to help him, it's probably going to help him out a lot.
Both will help him out a great deal. Charlie Strong has been in Pete Golding's ear quite a bit this offseason. Golding has been taking notes from Charlie Strong. He's taking notes from Freddie Roach, and I kind of equate Pete Golding to a Kirby Smart type of deal. When Kirby came to Alabama in 07-08, Kirby was young too. And Coach Saban said, hey, this guy's young. He's rough around the edges. He's kind of green behind the ears, but there's a real diamond there. If I work with him, if I polish him up, there's an opportunity. And I think Saban sees the same thing here with Pete Golding. He's young, yes. He's got some things he's got to grow on and get better with, absolutely. But there is something there. You can't put your finger on it, but it's something there. And Nick Saban's thinking, if I can work with it, if I can polish him up, and if I can bring in other veteran coaches to help him out even more, at some point, he's got a real shot to be the next great defensive mind. He had some injuries last year he had to deal with. He had some schematic things that he had to overcome at times also. But I feel like this year, with the talent on the roster, with everybody healthy, with the depth, and with veteran coaches around him, Pete Golding will take that next step forward.
Okay, I agree. I'm hoping, I'm praying for him, and I'm rooting for him because I want him to do well. So what do you think about Matt Jones with this brutal schedule? We got we got about top 5 teams in the top 10, with Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn, Georgia, and probably who else we have in the top, maybe 25. It's going to be a grueling schedule, because you don't get a chance to play 10 SEC schools, and I think that's going to be rough. So I'm hoping that Matt Jones can, I know he's going to get where teams like Kirby Smart, he probably going to send the blitz at him every time. And if you don't have any escapability, sometimes it can get rough. But I know Matt is smart. I know he can get the ball out of his hand. He got a lot of playmakers around him, and I trust the offensive coordinator. So what do you think about that?
Like Steve Sarkisian, going back to Mac Jones, in the first scrimmage on last week, the scrimmage was set up for the defense to have success, and the linebackers crashed the pocket quite a few times, got pressure into Jones's face quite the number of times, but Jones had 3 touchdown passes where he was calm under duress, cool under pressure, cooler from the other side of the pillar, and threw 3 touchdowns, threw 3 darts to John Mechie, Jaleel Billingsley, and Najee Harris. And even though he may not be as athletic as what most people would like him to be, you go back and you watch the Iron Bowl, there were 2 plays where he pulled the ball down and picked up first downs with his feet. So he's a type of guy that, if a team looks at him as somebody that's been a workhorse since he's been at the program in 2017, it's going to be a tough schedule, absolutely, but I think Matt can handle it. But we appreciate the call, man. Keep listening to us.
Okay. We love y'all in Virginia, man. Roll Tide, roll, baby.
Absolutely. Appreciate the call there on that end as we continue here on a Wednesday. In my own words, first show of the month of September. Got to shout out the man Marcus Davis, man. Marcus Davis via Super Chats, $9.99 in the Super Chats from one Marcus Davis. But as we look at one Jamie Newman, as a couple of you guys have already talked about, Jamie Newman of Georgia decided to opt out for this upcoming season, will not play for the Bulldogs. And this is a huge setback for Georgia, just seeing how no Dominic Blaylock at wide receiver. He's out for the year with the knee injury. JT Daniels, the other graduate transfer from USC, he had an injury as well. He has not been cleared yet. So to lose Jamie Newman to an opt-out, Kirby Smart has a lot to deal with here for the upcoming season, and we'll see how he goes about navigating things. But we take a break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we get back, we touch into the Alabama schedule. They got some games in prime time this year, and we'll talk about it after this.
If you want delicious home-style cooking, sushi, and hibachi, check out Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At home and you can't get away from the TV because the Crimson Tide is about to score? Don't worry, delivery is also available through Waitr and Crimson2go. That's Otoro Hibachi in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. And make sure you let them know the good folks at Touchdown Alabama sent you. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Back into the action here, folks, on a Wednesday, hump day, hottest show on the streets, #1 form for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. First show of the month of September. Gotta give a shout out here, a happy heavenly birthday to my grandmother, who would have been 83 on today, but I know she's smiling down on me right now, so happy heavenly 83rd birthday to my grandmother. But also gotta give a shout out here in the Super Chats. Roll Tide and Rise Up, dropping that cool $10, helping us out there on YouTube. That's Roll Tide and Rise Up, to that $10 in the Super Chats. But as always, be sure to give a thumbs up, give a like on the show, hit that subscribe button, and turn all of those notifications on, so that way you can have the best and alerts on your Crimson Tide. And we get into the conversation of the SEC games for the Crimson Tide, and the times have been released here on quite a few of these games here for the Alabama football program, according to the SEC front office in Birmingham. Of the 10 games on the schedule, 5 of the games have had a time released on them, and thus far, no 11 a.m. games. Praise Jesus! No 11 a.m. games for the Tide thus far. Between 2018 and 2019 combined, Alabama had 6 11 o'clock games in the morning. So far for this schedule, no 11 a.m. matchup. For the game against Missouri, September 26th, that Saturday, Alabama will take on the Tigers at 6 p.m. Central Time, so close to prime time. 6 p.m. Central Time, ESPN will air that matchup. On October 17th against Georgia, that game will be in prime time. 7 p.m. Central Time, CBS will have that game from Bryant-Denny Stadium. On October 31st against Mississippi State, another 6 p.m. Central Time matchup. ESPN will have that contest. On November 14th, when the Alabama travels to LSU, Tiger Stadium, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to take on Ed Ogeron and his group, that will be at 5 p.m. Central Time. CBS will have that matchup. And on October 3rd here, Alabama will face Texas A&M at Bryant-Denny Stadium. CBS will have this game as well, 2:30 p.m. Central Time kickoff. So no morning games right now, no 11 a.m. game. Huge for Alabama football, especially for those of you that do not like waking up early in the morning to get around and bump around and trying to get to that game before the good parking spots are gone, before the good seats are gone, for those of you that will be among the a little over 20,000 fans that will attend the game in the stadium this year. But some good matchups here, some good time slots for these matchups. Now, just going back to LSU, that game being at 5 p.m. Central Time, it's gonna be something here to see. Will the Tigers be able to field a football team? Because every moment that we're turning right now, somebody is opting out of the season for LSU. Whether it's Kerry Vincent Jr., the defensive back, or Neil Farrell Jr. on the defensive line, or Tyler Shelvin, another defensive lineman, or Jamar Chase, the Biletnikoff award-winning wide receiver. Just so many players opting out, for the Tigers, and you're just wondering, will this group be able to have a team? I mean, even Coach O mentioned himself there could be other guys to opt out. He prays it doesn't happen. He hopes it doesn't happen. But there could be other guys that may opt out of the season as well. So will the Tigers be able to field a team? That's a question right there. Of course, with Georgia having that matchup under the lights, 7 p.m., the most highly anticipated game of this upcoming season, with the Dogs having Kirby Smart as the head coach, Scott Cochran as the special teams coordinator. I think he's doing some strength and conditioning things over there as well. And even without having Dominic Blaylock and Jamie Newman opting out, you still have a Georgia team that's got it's got running backs, it's got a pretty fierce, solid defense there. So how prepared, how focused, how ready, will that defense be where Georgia is concerned and where Alabama is concerned? The offensive line being able to neutralize that pass rush with Alex Leatherwood, Evan Neal, your two offensive tackles, Landon Dickerson, Deontay Brown, your two offensive guards, whomever wins that center position between Chris Owens or Darian Dalcourt, being able to communicate across the board, being able to snap the football, take on your guy, move up to the linebackers, and get those big plays started. So that Georgia game at 7 p.m., that will be fun. Missouri at 6 p.m., that'll be a fun matchup. The Tigers of Missouri have not announced who their quarterback's going to be. They're really playing this close to the vest right now. Brand new head coach over there in Missouri, brand new quarterback over there. So, going to Columbia, that'll be fun. And that'll be a 9 to 10 hour drive for me, but that'll be interesting to see, how that game shapes out. And then Mississippi State, October 31st, 6 p.m. Central Time on ESPN, the first year of the crazy pirate, Mike Leach in Stark Vegas. Of course, the Bulldogs will have to travel to Bryant-Denny for the matchup. And, Mississippi State, luckily for Mike Leach, you got Kylan Hill at running back, one of the best backs in the conference. You got KJ Costello at quarterback, who transferred in from Stanford. Now, at wide receiver, who do the Bulldogs have remains to be seen. On the defensive line, how will Mississippi State look? That remains to be seen as well. But offensively, Mike Leach does have a couple of talents to work with on that side of the football. I mean, of course, you've got Texas A&M. And the burning question has been, is this the year that we see Kellen Mond go from good to great. When he came out of high school, out of Scottsdale, Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, when he came out of high school, when Kellen Mond came out of high school, he was a big deal. I'm talking about 5-star guy, dual threat quarterback, being able to run the way he wanted to, being able to complete passes in every inch of the field the way he wanted to. And when he initially came to Texas A&M, I literally thought he was going to just immediately burst and take off. Now, I'm not saying he's terrible, because he's not. He's a very solid, very, very good quarterback. It's just, for Aggie fans, they believe Texas A&M is on the same level as Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, LSU. They believe that A&M is on the same level as the big boys in the SEC, and quite naturally, because everybody in Texas, most folks, oil tycoons down there, and they're dropping in big money. I'm not talking a little chump change. They dropping Ben Franklin's inside the program every year. I mean, the A&M athletic department, we're talking about $500 million being put into that department, $498 million being put in to that A&M, athletic department. So to the fans over there, they believe that the Aggie football program, that Jimbo Fisher, that this team should be on the same level, on the same wavelength, in the same breath. They should be mentioned in the same breath with the Alabamas, with the Georgias, with the LSUs, with the Auburns, with the Shakers, with the Shakers of the SEC, and along with that, with the Shakers of college football. When you throw Clemson in there, when you throw Oregon in there, and Ohio State, and Oklahoma, and Texas, the Longhorns, teams of that nature. But the biggest thing for A&M is going to be, can Jimbo Fisher this year truly elevate Kellen Mond and take him to that next level? But the good news is, though, Tide fans, no 11 a.m. game thus far on the schedule. Bama's got Georgia in prime time. It's got Missouri an hour before prime time at 6 p.m. It's got Mississippi State an hour before prime time at 6 p.m. It's got LSU at 5 p.m. and Texas A&M at 2:30. So what do you think about when you discuss the games on the schedule and the times that have been issued out? We'll talk about that on the other side of the break as we entertain your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your concerns after this.
T-Town Menswear in the University Mall in Tuscaloosa. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month, or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, Bama fans, we are back in from the break on the number one forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, commentary, entertainment, conversation. That being in my own words with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And we are back on you, Tide Nation, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And we pick up Waylon, who's on the phone line right now. Waylon, my good man, what's going on?
Well, it's Wednesday. No other place I'd rather be at 6 o'clock on TDA. It makes my day. Hello to everybody in the chat. We got people in New York. We got people in Texas. We got people all over the Southeast. I tell you what, Stephen, you are nationwide. What is going on at TDA today?
You know what? I appreciate that, Wagon. You know what? I need to get with Peyton Manning and have him put me in the Nationwide commercial. I need to get with Peyton Manning and have him put me in that commercial. But I'm doing good, man. Doing well. Alabama continuing with fall camp. Practice number 10 was today as the Tide is in week 3 here, and going to be a scrimmage probably the second scrimmage will be this Saturday as well. So doing good, man. Kind of shocked to see Jamie Newman of Georgia opt out of the upcoming season. But now, this puts pressure on Kirby Smart to work with JT Daniels or whomever is going to play at quarterback for the Dogs this year.
Well, yeah, that was a little shocking to me. I saw that on the Feinbaum show. He's opting out to go pro, I guess, next year. And, well, easier said than done, I guess, but I wish him all the luck. There's no doubt about that. I hope everything works out great for him. And, yeah, it's a sketchy year. People sort of on their tiptoes and on their fingers, into their fingers, biting their nails off. Yeah, it's been a heck of a year, but everything may work out here before the end of the year. I hope so. And we're going to try to work on the poem there for Sway on Friday. I tell you what, I've got to get off here because if Sway's on hold, I'm not going to be responsible for what he's going to do down there, Stephen.
Yeah, you got to keep your eyes on old Sway Wagon. I mean, love Sway, but Sway going to make his point across whether you like it or not.
Yeah, Sway's a good caller. I like to hear him. He lays it off just like it is. But anyway, yeah, we got a poem. I guess everybody thought we were going to have one today, but we got working on one there for Friday. We just about got it done, so we'll try to end the week there with a big bang on Friday going into the weekend, and maybe Sway will call in here, and I'll get off here because if I don't, he may get that rubber hose at me. Everybody in the chat, stay safe on Thursday. I'll see y'all Friday, good Lord willing. Stephen, y'all doing a great job down there. Looking good. Monday was a great show. See everybody on Friday. Bye-bye, Stephen.
Appreciate the love there coming from Wagon, as he always does, calling into the show. Well, hopefully we get Sway on here. I don't know if we're going to get Sway on here or not, but as Sway is trying to get his thoughts together, we got a little bit of an Alabama in the NFL topic right now. Alabama in the NFL, as we're looking at one Carson Tinker and also one Mark Barron. Carson Tinker, the former long snapper for the Crimson Tide, played from 2008 to 2012, a part of 3 national championships and some SEC titles as well. And, Tinker was not drafted in the 2013 venue, but was picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, played for 6 seasons, 2013 through 18, was released from the Jaguars. He sat out the entire 2019 campaign, and though he had a tryout for the Houston Texans in this year, 2020, things did not work out. But he has reunited with a former Alabama assistant coach and Joe Judge, who is now the head coach of the New York Football Giants. So the Giants ended up getting Carson Tinker, and Joe Judge was with Alabama from 2009 to 2011 as a special teams assistant, part of 2 national championships, 1 SEC title in 2009. So it's great to see that Carson Tinker has reunited with Joe Judge. That's fun there. Alabama football being able to go to the New York Giants. And along with him, Mark Barron. Mark Barron, former Alabama safety, who was a part of 2 national championships himself, 2009 and 2011. 2009 and 2011. He was drafted in the first round of a 2012 venue by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Played for the Bucs and the St. Louis/Los Angeles Rams. Also spent last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but now he signed a 1-year deal for the Denver Broncos, and according to the contract that has come out on him, his contract was a 1-year deal worth $2.5 million. He's got this base salary of $1.75 million. He'll make $1 million guaranteed. He's got a $750,000 per game roster bonus. So there's some variables that add up to the $2.5 million contract there for Mark Barron on the 1-year deal. So kudos there to Mark Barron as he's right now with the Denver Broncos, trying to help that team get deeper into the playoffs in the AFC West. And also kudos to Carson Tinker, who is now with the New York Football Giants with Coach Joe Judge. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Still rocking and rolling here on a Wednesday. When we get back, we'll talk about one Christian Harris. For real. How good can this young man really, truly be as a sophomore? We'll discuss the Baton Rouge native after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All-Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to STSfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to STSfootwear.com and get your All-Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
We are back in from the break here, folks, on the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Crimson Tide football news, notes, and information you will find anywhere. This is, in my own words, with yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we jump into Christian Harris here, gotta say this: if you are a diehard Alabama football fan, diehard Tide fan, you eat it, you breathe it, you sleep it, you love it, you can't get enough of it, and you are supporting these players, in full support of these players, we got to get you to go to tdawear.com. That is tdawear.com. Go there right now and purchase you the We Want Football shirts and the Let Them Play shirts. We Want Football shirts and the Let Them Play shirts. Now, you can get other apparel as well. This is not just limited to the shirts. You can get other apparel as well. But go to tdawear.com and get you either the We Want Football shirts or the Let Them Play shirts, showing your respect, showing your appreciation for the University of Alabama, these student athletes on the football field, and also us here at Touchdown Alabama Magazine. But now, one Christian Harris, Alabama linebacker Christian Harris. He never played linebacker before prior to last season. At University Lab School, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, he was a wide receiver, defensive back, and return specialist. Never played linebacker before. So this past season was his first year ever playing at the inside linebacker position. And though it was kind of a shock to him getting that starting job due to the injuries that happened to Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan, and he had to learn on the fly. He had to grow on the fly. He had to take on a full load of not just being a playmaker, but also communicating and learning the defense step by step. Every single week, he made big plays. Like, he improved, he got better, he got better, he got better. And for you out there as Alabama fans, you guys thought if he ever locks on fully, this is going to be a very special player on the defense for Alabama for years to come. I mean, I know he's young, but if he locks on fully, he is going to be a very, very special player here for years to come where the Crimson Tide is concerned. I mean, I've had people I've spoken with that have kind of compared him to Reuben Foster. Other people I've talked to have kind of compared him to Rashaan Evans in a way. So there is something in Christian Harris. There is a diamond. There is something that is special. There's a big deal thing inside of Christian Harris. And if he can continue to make those strides, make those improvements, and continue to grow, there is big production. There is big leadership production in the making here for the young man out of Louisiana. Now, along with talking about him having a bad taste in his mouth from last season and not ending it the right way, and him talking about how being back for his 6th year and wanting to help Alabama get to a national championship, Joshua McMillan also spoke on Christian Harris and how impressed he was with the young man by the amount that he took on as a freshman and how he was able to maneuver and navigate through the entire 2019 season. This is Joshua McMillan talking Christian Harris.
I feel like Christian Harris has a good hold of the playbook. Last year I was very impressed with him coming in. He's never played linebacker, and he did a phenomenal job. I mean, me coming in knowing what I knew in my freshman year, I don't think I would be able to take on that load and be able to perform at that high standard. So my hat was off to him. I was with him day in and day out, kind of encourage him. But I think he stepped up to the plate and he did a phenomenal job.
That's Joshua McMillan talking about Christian Harris there as he enters his sophomore year at inside linebacker. Harris, his playing weight as a freshman was 244 pounds. He's dropped 12 pounds at 6'2", 232 pounds now. This past season, we're looking at 63 tackles, 7th in the SEC. Among defenders in the league, he was among the team leaders in terms of Alabama. Christian Harris, 7.5 tackles for loss. Among the team leaders, he led all SEC freshman defenders, 5 quarterback hurries, 2 fumble recoveries, 1 forced fumble, 1 pass breakup in 13 games. He had 12 starts. Christian Harris made the all SEC freshman team. And with him, with him last year, the first time he played at the linebacker position, with Dylan Moses and Joshua McMillan back handling the bulk of the communication responsibilities on defense. Now, Harris will still be called upon to communicate when he's out there, but with Dylan Moses and McMillan handling the bulk of the communication job, how good can Christian Harris really be in year 2? How much of a jump can he take from his freshman to his sophomore year? That's the big question, because a lot of people are excited to see, what he can do. Among the guys being back on defense, people are excited to see what Christian Barmore can do, absolutely. People are excited to see what LeBron Ray can do coming back from an injury. People are excited to see, definitely what, Dylan Moses can do coming back, Joshua McMillan can do coming back, Alakaho can do as being a more so, getting more so involved on the defensive side of the football, but just one of those players that you as a fan are looking forward to seeing in the upcoming season. How much of a jump, how much of a rise, how much of an increase can Christian Harris make? He made plays last year. He made hits last year. He made tackles last year. He forced fumbles last year. He got after the quarterback last year. What will be the next step? Can he be somebody that can create a bunch of sacks in this upcoming season? Because that was one area on the stat sheet that Christian Harris did not hit on, did not have a sack this past season. Will he grow into being somebody that can get between 3 to 5 or 3 to 6 sacks? Can he do that? I mean, the interception department was something that Christian Harris didn't quite hit in last year. Remember 2017, Mac Wilson, as a great coverage linebacker, had 4 picks that year and ended his career with 6 interceptions. So can Christian Harris maybe grow into being somebody that can, track the football, sink back in coverage and get his hands on the ball and create those types of turnovers from the interception category perspective? So it's just going to be fun to watch what this young man can do and how he intends to take that step from his freshman year and getting out there kind of a little bit nervous, didn't know what to expect, didn't know how to handle things, had to grow on the fly, had to learn on the fly, had to kind of be, brought up in the playbook, to now you have a full year of experience. You took your lumps, you took your bumps, you went up against some of the best in the SEC. So you have that filed into your memory. You dropped 12 pounds, so now you're going to be even faster than ever, that being one, Christian Harris. And depending upon how Coach Saban works him into these defensive formations, of course, he's going to be, the main guy in that base 3-4 alignment. I think he's going to be the starter at that weak side linebacker position outside of Dylan Moses. But when you look at the nickel packages, when you look at some of the advanced dime packages, how will Coach Saban be able to work Christian Harris into a lot of these looks so that he can, sink back in the coverage, read the offense, create turnovers, create plays, create picks, create pick sixes, and just, find ways to knife his way through and sack the quarterback, knife his way through and continue knocking running backs backwards, knife his way through and even improve upon those 7.5 tackle for loss number that he had a season ago in 2019. So I'm excited. There are a lot of guys to be happy about. There are a lot of guys to have your eyes on. There are a lot of guys to have your ears on. There are a lot of guys to circle, highlight, put a star by, underline when you discuss Crimson Tide football, especially on defense. But Christian Harris is just one of those guys to keep your eye on. You know, first full year playing linebacker, did some great things. How much better? How much better can he be? How much better can he get? How much better can he become in year 2? That is going to be the fun to dive into and watch the process grow there. But you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your Crimson Tide, ladies and gentlemen. It's very simple. Easy to access this. You get this by downloading the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You can get it from your iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you have the Android phone. For your podcast options, we got you on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, Google Play, iHeartRadio. We got you covered. Be sure to always, if you're purchasing Touchdown Alabama Magazine, you can have that sent to your door. The link will be found in the description, and we're also extending the online subscription $5.95 for at least another week, $5.95 a month. You can check out that link in the description as well. But as always, husbands, love your wives. Wives, appreciate, value those husbands. Children, I know school is back in, but continue doing those things to legitimately not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. I will be back on Friday. Until next time, folks, spending my own words.